Hi guys, it is Mandy from Mandyleeplays, and 2024 was a fantastic year. It was so good that this video was kind of hard to make, mainly because there were many good games and a lot of them did not leave me disappointed, but we still have 5 games that did give me that feeling of disappointment. Now to preface before we get started, all the games on this list, just because they're in my disappointing list doesn't mean they're bad games. Not every game is gonna blow us off our feet 10 out of 10s or gothy materials. Some games just left us wanting more, and that's perfectly fine. Another thing is, this is not limited to 2024 games, it's just the games I played this year. Hope you don't mind, and hit that like button if you end up liking the video, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed on our road to 8K. Alrighty, now onto the list. So the first game is a game that I honestly really enjoyed, but upon further reflection, I could say it left me a bit disappointed, and the game in question is Princess Peach Showtime. Now, I was so excited about this game leading up to its release. I was hyped. I did a video going through Princess Peach's history from the beginning to Showtime. I was so excited for this game. It looked awesome in the trailers, and I was just really happy that Princess Peach finally gets her own game after Super Princess Peach. Now, if you guys don't know, Super Princess Peach is a DS game that stars Princess Peach, but it really didn't do so well, and Nintendo didn't really entertain a new Princess Peach game until Showtime. Now, I did adore the premise as well. You have Princess Peach putting on different costumes. It reminded me of something straight out of a magical girl anime, and I thought it was such a charming concept. Now, the game itself is pretty fun and enjoyable, but there were some things that really left me wanting more, one of them being the costumes themselves. Now, my favorite costumes are Kung Fu Peach, Sword Fighter Peach, and Ninja Peach. I feel like those 3 costumes were really combat focused, and that's what made them really fun. Now, I can't say that about all the costumes because unfortunately some of them just did not do it for me. I hated Detective Peach. I felt like that costume was unnecessary and it wasn't fun at all. Pastry Peach, which is the baking Peach, I felt like I loved that costume for one level, and then the whole novelty of the gimmick kind of wore on me bit by bit because those costumes are really situational. Even in the levels themselves, it has to be very choreographed for the whole costume to work, and that really broke the pacing of the game. Again, not every costume was like that, but a majority of them were just set pieces, and you really didn't feel like you could explore with these different costumes. You could only use them in their little scenarios, and that's where I felt most of the enjoyment kind of just left me. Now, the story in itself is where the game hits, and I feel like it was done really well. So Peach has to rescue a bunch of these critters called teats or theater kids or whatever you want to call them. And it's funny because Peach's motivation is because she wants to watch a show. She just wants to watch her show that she came all the way from the Mushroom Kingdom to watch, but then this weird theater lady just took it over and she's like, I want my money's worth. So her mission is to open the theater back up and to help the theater kids. I feel like that's perfect. It didn't have to be too deep. Oh, and you have a little partner named Spark, by the way. Speaking of sparkles, those are the collectibles you have to get through the levels, and they're really annoying because not only are there a lot of them, but some of them are hidden so bad that you literally have to pull up a guide to figure out where they are, which sucks for anyone who wants to complete this game 100% because it does kind of require you to go back into the level and repeat the scenario. And I mean repeat the scenario, all the little scenes in between, everything you have to do again. In the detective one, you have to do all the sequence of events again. It could be a slog because I don't even want to rinse and repeat the good levels, let alone the bad ones. And the amount of dread that you feel when you miss a spark, you nearly miss it and you see it go away, that means you have to go and do the level all over again. I hated it. This is why I never 100% the game. And to add insult to injury, there are no checkpoints in the level. It has to be one of the most annoying collectibles in a video game. And it just adds to my overall frustration with the game because it's not a hard game. Far from it. It's actually really easy. But it's made tedious with all the sparkle collectibles and having to repeat each level again. And in the end, it kind of felt underwhelming to me. Whether it be my fault for hyping the game up too much or the game itself, I just felt like it didn't meet that expectations of a new Princess Peach game on the Switch. And oddly enough, this game is really short, but there were parts where it felt like it went really long. Make that make sense? I don't know. But in saying all of this, I did really enjoy the game for what it was, and and I had a really good time in the levels that I actually liked, but I just felt like there could have been more there. And I hope this game did well sales wise, so we could get a sequel to Princess Peach Showtime with a lot more content. And for the love of God, can they put a damn checkpoint in between the levels? That would be awesome. Where did the sun go? The sun decided to blip out of existence for a second. I don't know, Florida's weird. Sunshine State my booty. Alrighty, so let's move on to the next game, and that is Endless Ocean Luminous. This game could have been really something special, and I did enjoy it in some parts, but for reasons I'm gonna get to, it was kind of disappointing. Now, this is a Nintendo first-party game. Side note though, what is up with Nintendo having kind of a sus year? It's probably like they're getting ready for a new console. But yeah, it's been a bit underwhelming for the big end this year. Anyways, Endless Ocean is touted to be a relaxing game, and not gonna lie, it was freaking relaxing in my book. So games where you just document fishes and relax and vibe was kind of my thing from the get-go. But I did still feel a little disappointed, especially when it came to the content of the game. Because surprisingly, there is a story in this game, but the way the story was laid out was horrible. Now this is weird to say because the past Endless Ocean games did have a story and a goal to reach, not to mention different locations to explore throughout the game. But with Luminous, the world is randomly generated, making it feel almost roguelike with nothing interesting to set them apart. Like, I would restart a level over and over again because none of them were really as interesting. I felt like if they took the time to make a really good base level and some other side levels in different areas and making it unique, it would have been a bit more fun than this whole auto-generated thing going on. And this is really strange because there's a lot of different things to work with when it comes to the ocean, and all they could think of is a few rocks here and there, a little bit of algae or something. Yeah, it was pretty underwhelming. And I feel like that's what really killed the appeal of this game, because its main gameplay function is to explore the different oceans. But if the oceans are boring, yeah, we have a problem there. This whole generated ocean thing did not work out. And procedurally generated games could be very, very good if it's utilized correctly, and I felt like this game didn't really utilize it well. And another thing, the fish don't interact with you either. I don't know, I felt like these fish could have had more life into them, where you could see different habits from these fish, maybe have fishes hunting for different fish. It could have been crazy fun. For example, the once horrifying Thanos, who used to attack the diver in different games, has been reduced to a docile creature. You could literally just go up to it and make a little selfie next to it and it won't do anything. So yeah, it really kills the oomph in finding these kinds of legendary fish. And it makes the once relaxing and satisfying gameplay loop really, really dull and repetitive. Now this game has a heavy emphasis on online play and co-op stuff. They have different contests and events, but the game sucks so much that it's probably really hard to find somebody else who also plays Endless Ocean Luminous and likes it enough to play with you. And I just felt like this game could have been so much more if they put the love and the care with the online multiplayer. It could have been a fantastic game. Endless Ocean is not a very known game. It's actually a pretty niche game series. So with Endless Ocean Luminous, they had such a big opportunity to make the game and show it to a broader audience so they could in turn love the series, but they fumbled it. They fumbled the bag, picked it back up, and fumbled it again, basically. And honestly, I was just scratching the surface on the problems this game has, but I don't want to be here for the next 20 minutes just rambling on about this game. Alrighty, now on to better disappointing games. The next one is Yeast 9 Monstrum Nox. Now this is a game I recently played and beaten on stream too, so if you want to watch the streams, feel free to enjoy. But this game had its very good moments and then very bad moments. And funny enough, Yeast 9 Monstrum Nox is the only game on my list that did not release in 2024. Now Yeast 9 is the most current Yeast game in the timeline. Now I was going into this game thinking it's going to be another banger like Yeast 8 Lacrimosa of Dana, which is my favorite Yeast game, but I was sorely mistaken. Now the game in the beginning was really cool. It got me intrigued and hooked. The setting was a bit different because it wasn't on a tropical beach. Instead, it was on a more gothic looking town with a big prison that you have to explore all the time. But honestly, that's not why this game is on this list, because conceptually the setting is cool and there's a lot of different characters with cool different costumes, and if anything, think the party member characters are a little bit more interesting than Ys 8. And combat-wise, this game is very fun and enjoyable. So you're probably wondering then why is it disappointing if you're singing its praises? Well, there are parts where it kind of irked me and annoyed me. The first one being the prison scenario. I hated going to Balduq prison and having to investigate. I felt like the game just took a collective screeching halt and ruined the momentum of the game. And when it's a prison and you see the same stuff over and over again, it really grated on me. And you had to do them too, and I really hated it. Now there is a reason why you have to do that, but to me it's not really a good reason. Like honestly, it added nothing. So because you are forced to be in this specific place due to story reasons, which is okay because we weren't allowed to leave the island in Ys 8, and that one worked out great. But Balduq as a place is very not interesting. And to its credit, I don't think it was trying to be this very big happy place, but it certainly wasn't this hustle and bustle type of city thing going on. Now the story of Ys 9 is very interesting. It definitely had me gripped and guessing what the heck is going on, and not gonna lie, the ending was pretty cool with all the reveals. I was certainly surprised. So the story was really good, it's just the pacing was really bad. It did not have to have 9 chapters. I felt like the last 2 chapters could have been 1 chapter. Now the most annoying thing about this game, and most Ys games honestly, is this whole tower defense scenario gameplay. So it's basically a portion of the game where it has this all-out attack with different monsters, and you have to protect this crystal in the middle. Now honestly, this game portion isn't hard, it's just annoying. So in the end, although I did love Ys 9, especially with the characters, the story, it ultimately was really disappointing because of the whole repetitive nature of it and the fact that it's 9 chapters when it could very well be 7. Now the next game is Visions of Mana. I wanted to love you, Visions of Mana, I really did, and I really hate that I have to put it here. Now it's still a really good Mana game. I really loathe the other Mana games, so the fact that I still like it to some extent is a good thing, but it did have me feeling disappointed. Now I had so much hype for this game, and the trailers made it seem like there was this deep story that was going to take place that was different than all the other Mana games, and that got me hooked. But man, was I wrong, because the story is pretty traditional from what I've heard of other Mana games and what I've seen. Now keep in mind, my knowledge of the Mana series is very limited because I haven't really played all the others. I hated Trials, so some of my feelings might seem a bit hostile, especially to long-running fans, but it's still valid in my opinion. Now my biggest complaint about this game is the open world aspect. Like honestly, is it really necessary? The open world itself is not really interesting. There's a little bit of treasures you could find, but nothing worth going on the beaten path that's worth exploring. And I'm just like, why did they even bother making an open world? And I feel like if it just had a smaller and tighter world, it would feel more impactful and there would be more details into the world instead of just having open grass everywhere with nothing really there. And half of the world isn't really necessary for the story, so again, why is it there? Now my biggest disappointment when it comes to Visions of Mana is the story. Now to be frank, I didn't beat the game, but I kind of know where the story is going, and that's a problem because it's taking the most blandest route. Everybody is just gun-ho to sacrifice themselves to this demonic tree without even thinking about it, and in suit with this boring story comes a lot of boring characters. At first the characters looked interesting, but they're very surface level in a way, and I honestly really can't bring myself to care about these characters. Now, I feel like my opinion would be different from some of my peers because I've seen a lot of people love Visions of Mana, and if you do, that is great and I respect that 100%, but I just didn't enjoy it myself and I somewhat found it very boring and disappointing. I don't know when I'm gonna pick up this game again or if I'm gonna pick up this game again, but honestly, I really do hope that the Mana series does continue for its fans because the Mana series has a very loyal fan base. The game has been loved for many years, and hopefully Visions of Mana is not their last Mana game. Now the last game is a mobile game, which if you're new to this channel, I loathe mobile games, mainly because the whole gacha mechanic is just not a good thing for games in general. Now recently there was a mobile game for the Atelier series, one of my favorite series, so I got really sad. Anyways, it's called Atelier Resleriana. I freaking butchered that. Now this is a mobile game with a lot of gacha mechanics in it, and honestly I downloaded it, played it for like 15 minutes and just checked out because I wasn't having any of that. Now, if you're an adult and want to play a gacha game, that's, you know, on you, respect that, but I think it's a blight on the gaming community as a whole. And not gonna lie, I got really pissed when one of my favorite franchises were dipping their foot into the whole microtransaction world. In one hand, I understand because the game series probably should make money, but on the other hand, I can't really endorse the behavior. I personally just don't understand free-to-play games. They're honestly probably the most expensive game you are ever gonna have. I'd rather just pay the $70 for a full completed game than a free-to-play game. I'm sorry. So all in all, this game of course is disappointing to me because of the reasons I've said and the microtransaction and them using Atelier for this stuff, but there is a glimmer of hope because they are making a complete edition of Atelier Resleriana without any microtransactions or gacha mechanics. For the consoles too. We are winning in that department. I don't know how the game is gonna go, but hopefully it's really good. Anyway, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, then leave a like. And if you like my videos and would love to see more, then please consider subscribing. Trying to get to 8K by the end of the year. Please tell me your most disappointing games of this year in the comments down below. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. And as always, play a good game. Peace.